Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Let me know if you're here live, because that's always fun. If you haven't already, just take a moment to pop into the group posts, and I've posted a PDF of our workbook that we're going to work through. Hello, Jan. There's a PDF of the workbook that we're going to work through. There's only 2 images that have got colour, but just printed in black and white. The colour isn't important for what we're going to be doing. I have, hello Nicole, I've posted it as a PDF and also as a Word document. So I'm very kinesthetic as a being, and I really like with things like this, it's very much a pen and paper process for me. Good morning, Trish. So that was why I started with the PDF, and it's designed to be a companion for our masterclass that we're doing, but also has some space for your sort of ongoing review and things like that through next year. So there's space for you to just keep this for the whole year, to check back in with your goals and all that kind of stuff. Good morning, Phoenix. It's also uploaded as a Word document, so they're 2 separate posts. So if you're more of a type in the wisdom and doing things online, then you've got a Word document to work with, and you've also got a PDF to work with if you want to print it off. If you're listening and you don't have an opportunity to print it off or to look at it, maybe you're driving, or maybe you're, what about doing, you've got a baby in your arms or something like that, just listen. The bits that need to be, like, I'll read out the bits that need to be read out, and so you can do as much as you can do. Good morning, Melanie. You can do as much as you can do on the class, and then, as I've said, the video is going to be available later, so you can go back and use your workbook and do the bits that you want to do moving forward. My intention for today, other than sharing with you a process that I go through at the end of every single year and have done for, I want to say as long as I can remember, but I know I wasn't doing it when I was 5, but I would say at least 15 years, and just invite you into it. Hello, Melanie. And we can't do the whole thing in 2 hours. So some of it we'll be doing on the call, and some of it will be, you'll be actioning later, because these things are important. How we want to honour ourselves and how we want to live our year is important stuff, and you don't want to race through. The idea isn't to finish quick. The idea is to finish in a self-honouring, self-loving, let's make next year really amazing kind of a way. So let's kick off. So part 1 in our 2019 Transformational Planning Masterclass is honouring and accepting beautiful you right now in this moment. Now, there's 2 reasons why this is really, really important. The first is, right now is the only moment in which you can actually affect any kind of change. And, I've still got an itchy nose. And I've seen a lot of people make goals based on something that isn't actually happening right now. That wasn't my best sentence. So we can't set a goal in 10 kilograms time. So when I'm that, then this is this. We can't set a goal in when that person does this, then I can do my part. It's kind of, we can't set a goal based on the future. We need to set goals based on what's happening right this moment. So the very first action that I'm going to invite you to take is to, first of all, come into the space where for the next 2 hours we're going to be focused on you, wholly, soulfully focused on you. Doesn't mean that your goals can't involve other people. It just means we can't make them the pivotal point of your beginning. So coming into you and just accepting the power of right now. We really need to accept where we are right this moment. It doesn't mean that what's happening right now is glorious and wonderful. If it was perfect, you wouldn't be coming along to something like this to plan next year being even better. So just knowing that where you are right now is perfectly wonderful, and it is the springboard for what you're going to be creating. So I'm suggesting that you craft a bit of an affirmation for arriving in now. I've given a couple of suggestions. One is, I accept that now is the only moment I can make changes, and I'm making those changes now. So affirmations like that, or the other one I've suggested is, every moment I choose something different, and I create, read my own, quote myself correctly, every moment I choose something different, I create powerful differences in my future. That's a little apple falling off the, I've got a little apple branch on my vase that got knocked down by a bird and I wanted to enjoy them, but now the apples are all falling off. They're so cute. They're just this little. So you can feel like I accept that now is the only time I can make changes, and I'm making those changes now. Every moment I choose something different, I create powerful differences in my future. When you really land into those two things, it doesn't matter what weight you are, how much money you've got, what's going on inside your life, because we can't make a goal for $5,000 time, and we can't make goals based on anything other than the ingredients we've got right now. So I encourage you to craft an affirmation that works for you, that just brings you into the now. A lot of us have got really strong thought patterns around focusing on what we don't have. And so we really want to bring you into what we do have. So if anyone's got any questions about that, ask me. If you're watching this video later, then still ask me and I can help you. If you want to share your affirmation, if you like my two, then go for it. If you've got one of your own, then go ahead and share, because that'll be fun for everyone to receive. And I can always use more ideas. And when we do things as a group, everyone benefits. The other reason we want to honor and accept beautiful you as you are right now in this moment is because one of the major reasons why I see goal setting not leading to goal achieving is because people set goals that actually are not in alignment with the truth of who they are, and that aren't in alignment with what they value. So let me give you a personal example. Before I learned to really balance the dedication I've got for being a conscious parent and the dedication I've got to supporting a mindset revolution in terms of how we do mental health in the world, and being part of, active solutions for people feeling empowered, people accepting themselves and really creating lives that work for them. These two things used to be in competition for my time. And when I was in work mode, I would set these amazing goals as if I was a multi-millionaire with like unlimited budget, as if I wasn't a mum, as if I was partnered with staff. I'd have these massive to-do lists that felt awesome, but they just were not paying any attention to what was actually going on in my world. Sorry, that's my phone ringing. Not anymore. And the same thing when I was with my children, I would set these goals that were like based on not having to earn any money, and not working, and not having passion in any other area. And I'd want to do all of these amazing things in my space as a mum, but I'm only one person and I've got one lot of 24 hours to work with. So I would set goals in my business and then did not have the time, energy, and resources to follow through on all of it. I get lots of it done, but I wouldn't get all of it done. And before I really embraced profound self-acceptance, that would lead to a lot of negative internal dialogue and self-blurkiness. So we want to, before we review your year and before we step into what you want to bring into 2019, let's really honor who you are. And in the workbook, I say this: imagine someone who never actually paid attention to who you are came along and did this big critique of your life and everything that was wrong with it. Imagine someone coming along who has a really fixed idea. We all know people like this, that has a really fixed idea of what every individual should be like, not taking any individuality into account whatsoever, and that they got to set your to-do list for the year. So in both of these situations, this is what we do to ourselves when we set goals without actually taking into account who we truly are. Because human beings are not one size fits all. We're just not in our likes and dislikes, not in our music taste, not in how much we think is the perfect amount of chili or wasabi, going from kind of blow your throat and brain apart to none at all. And absolutely not when it comes to what enlivens and inspires us and what depletes and depresses us. We're unique. And so the second exercise we're going to do is going through really having a list and beginning to honor what you truly value. So this is a huge process and it is so worth putting time into, and we're going to whiz through it pretty quickly. And I encourage you to go back to it later on with your booklet or with the recording in the booklet and have a bit of a look at the table that's in the booklet. So under the heading of honoring what you truly value, we've got a whole list of things. Now, this is by no means the complete list of values in the world. It's just a list that I've put together and I'm adding to it. Let me know how many of you are working with a booklet that are on here live, and then I'll know how much to read out. So knowing what you value allows you to do lots of really, really useful things in terms of how we review the year and how we set goals for the following year, and also helping you to understand why you feel inspired and why you perhaps don't. So I have a broken toe sitting straight underneath my desk. So if you see me doing lots of moving around, it's not because I've got some sort of disorder. I'm just trying to keep my leg comfortable. All right, so in the table, I'm going to just read out a bunch of these. We've got things like achievement. You might really value achievement, challenge, encouragement. That might mean being encouraging or being encouraged or both. You might value creativity, consistency. You know, some people really value change. Some people value consistency. We're all different. Connection, friendships, family, courage, fairness. You might really value integrity, inner strength, inner peace. I was thinking I was going to read all of these out, but it's going to take far too long. You might really value sensuality, like being connected and embodied in your body. You might value commitment, leadership, structure, spontaneity. You might value variety or mastery in just one thing. You may really value self-awareness, emotional intelligence, being truthful. One of my values is escapism. And I achieve a lot in my life, and I absolutely love, it's really, really important for my weekly well-being to have some escapism, to escape into an amazing book with a world that I didn't take part in creating and just receive. And that's actually really important. So be bold, and you can have escapism on there if that's one of yours. There's nothing wrong with it. You may value strength, security. You might value the process rather than the result. You might value the results. Let's have a bit of a look. You might really value having control. This isn't always a bad thing. You may really value accuracy. You can feel the here, and accuracy. And if you value accuracy more than you value achievement, you can kind of begin, I'm assuming, to start to feel the difference. You might really value hard work. You might value status. Financial security might be super important to you. You might value experiences over stuff. You may value originality, having purpose. Now, there are some people that can do have hours and hours of an activity that has absolutely no purpose other than enjoying the activity. And there's other people that just can't imagine spending time on something that had no tangible outcome. Neither people are wrong. We're just really different. You might value emotional intelligence, self-discipline. You may value recognition. Justice and fairness might be really important to you. So what I encourage you to do is really go through that list. Add, while you're reading it, you might come up with some other words that aren't in there. And so just really take note of those. If you're new to working with me, or you haven't done this kind of work before with anyone else, I want to really welcome you to you, like beautiful, powerful, amazing, unique you. And you are allowed to value whatever you value. And when we begin looking at this year and farewelling it and going into next year through the lens of knowing ourselves and knowing what we value, and knowing that right now you are actually perfectly okay and it's all right to be where you are. You're not meant to be somewhere else at the age you are now. You're not meant to be anywhere but right here. And right here is where you have all the ingredients that you need to thrive. It's such a beautiful way to set goals. And I hope that you can see why it's valuable to start here before we start looking backwards or looking forwards. So if you've got any questions, there's some of you that are on live. So if you've got any questions, just let me know. The essence of that exercise is to create a list of things that you know that you value. And it might be really huge. In time, you might kind of order them, but just use this list or have it front of mind while we're going through the rest of the class. Sip of water. So part 2, your year so far in review. The year's not finished yet. I'm going to give you an exercise to do, which is really about looking back over 2018 month by month. And there's space in your workbook to do this, where I literally did like a whole page for each month. If you're a big writer, then maybe when you print it, don't go double-sided, and then you've got a whole 2 pages to write about. So how do you do this? I want you to go back and look through the photos that you took, look through whatever social media accounts you've got, look through your diary or your planner or your journals or wherever you can access your records for the year. And remember as well that some of the best moments in our life aren't recorded, especially if you're not into photo taking and journal writing. If you know your partner takes most of the photos, you might have to borrow their phone or their camera or whatever. Or you may need to just dig into your memories. You know, if you're someone who really values family and connection, some of your best moments will be sitting around the dinner table or on a car trip somewhere, all having a laugh together and having fun. And they're not the moments that you necessarily put in the album, but they're actually what creates the juice of life. If you're someone that really values fun, some of your funnest moments, again, you might not have had a camera there. It might just be more catch-ups you had with people or things that felt kind of ordinary and everyday, but they're actually what makes our life, special and amazing when we're living values aligned. So we won't go through it. We won't stop and do this right now. I encourage you to go back and do it later. But I want you to go back through each month, January through to now, and pay particular attention to things that aligned with your values that you've identified. So these are likely to be your best and most positive experiences, each and every month. Also pay attention to what violated your values. And violated sounds like a big word, but what kind of interfered with your values. And these are most likely going to be the things that upset you. If you value truth and honesty, even when being truthful and honest is hard and someone lied to you, that's going to be like, oh goodness. Or if you chose not to tell the truth in a situation because you just didn't have the courage, that's going to be one of your moments where you go, "Urgh." So having a look at the things that happen each and every month that align with your values, the best moments and the things that didn't. What were your challenges and your setbacks? What did you do to overcome them, or are they still a work in progress? What have you learned from your experiences? So you might have a look at March and you were at a work thing then and you remember, oh, okay, that particular talk or conversation didn't go so well, but I learned this and this and this. So just having a look at, okay, what you learned from the experience and what's that learning led to down the track. So sometimes we can have an experience that's a values violation or that's a values conflict, but it leads down the track to implementing something really amazing. So in a lot of my work, I'm teaching people how to communicate with their loved ones in a way to create different results. So it might be in June this year, I actually sat my partner down and explained this and this and this and this and how I was feeling, and now we're in a completely different place, and that was a really amazing turning point. So what's happened? What have you learned from it? What's that meant for you down the track? And also, what can you take away from that experience that'll start developing your guidance on, the two lists that we want to pay attention to, the what I want more of list and the what I want less of list for 2019. When you take the time to go through your year and do this, you're going to have so much more clarity around, firstly, how wonderful life already is. And secondly, a whole lot of really useful data for beginning the planning of 2019. So obviously, you'll need to, for those of you that are on live, you'll have to go back and do this later. If you've got any questions, just ask me. For those of you watching the recording, just pause and go through that process before you carry on. I've got the workbook up on the screen, so I'm just zooming through my year. So I want you to frame up 2018 through the lens of what you value. Take some time to really look at, okay, the good, the bad, the ugly. What do you need to let go of and stop doing? What do you need to embrace and start doing? It might be that you did a little bit of it and you want to do more. What is on your want less of list and what's on your want more of list? I'm going to give you a couple of examples just so that we're not sitting in the vagaries of life. If one of you that's on live wants to share something that you value, I can help you. Otherwise, I'll just use examples out of my own coaching practice and experience. So let's imagine we've got someone and they really value learning, development, and growth. So there's someone who just wants to be the best they can be, and they just love learning and development. So as they go through the process that I've just encouraged you to go through, and they're looking through their year, they might look at, in terms of the good experiences, they're going to be looking at, oh, I learned that, and I learned that, and I learned that. But they also can look through those substandard, blurky, yucky experiences through the lens of learning, growth, and development. So really looking at, okay, I didn't enjoy that, or that was painful, or that hurt. Here's what I've learned from it. So when we can digest emotionally through the lens of what we value, we're able to really begin composting our experiences. And by that I mean taking what we're discarding and really letting go and allowing it to nourish and fertilize our future. Because the learning and growth and development you get from going through difficult times really can serve you wonderfully for a lifetime. and become something that when you think of, it doesn't trigger you into the pain. It actually just triggers you into your wisdom and how grateful you are for how far you've come. Let's imagine that you really value fun. So, and I mean, what a great thing to value. So you're going through the year and you're going in January, February, and you're thinking about all the stuff that you did was fun, right? People who really value fun, if they have about 3 days in a row where there's no fun, it can be very easy to go into Blurkyville where you're like, oh, life's just not fun, or I'm in a slump or something like that. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just about, it's really awesome to go through the year and go, oh, that was fun, that was fun, that was fun. So really looking at the year through what you value. And also having a look at, okay, well, what wasn't fun? And fun is really important to me. What wasn't fun? And what can I do about that? How can I take the parts of my life and the events of 2018 that did not align with my value of fun and do something different with it going into 2019? What we want to do is, through this process of going through the workbook and watching the video, we want you to really, like I said, compost 2018. We don't want to spend 2019 carrying around smelly baggage about how unfun last year was. So if you've had some super unfun stuff and you really value fun, it's about looking at it through the year and going, okay, some of it you may have already actioned and done differently. Maybe you had a job where you just couldn't connect with any of your co-workers, and at some point during the year you applied for a new job and you've resolved that. Maybe that's something that you need to put on your list of things for 2019 as a goal. Good morning, Belle. I hope your son is feeling better. So looking at what the year has meant for you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, through the lens of what you value is really going to help you get clear on what you want to stop doing, what you want to do less of, what you want to do more of, and give you some information moving forward. So if there's any questions, just let me know. Even if you're watching the video, just tag me in the comment and we'll work through. So I can't go through, I've gone through people who value growth, learning and development, people that value fun, but we can do this with any value, looking at the year through the lens of what you achieved and also looking at those down points and using it as inspiration to make next year different. Because we don't have a blurky year for no reason. It's generally when you can look at the year and go, oh, I've been wildly out of alignment with my values. Hardly any of my time, energy and effort has been spent on what really lights me up. No wonder this year kind of sucked. And what can I do about it to make next year different? So we want to celebrate and really let go. The metaphor I often use is around looking at a forest and having a look at what leaf litter does in a forest. So there are some branches of some trees that just fall off for some reason. Maybe something heavy lands on them, like my little apple plant over there that a big bird landed on and it lost its little branch. Or maybe that leaf wasn't getting the right ingredients. Maybe it had some parasite vine that killed it off. But the branches that die fall to the ground. The leaves that die fall to the ground. The plants that just don't have enough sun or that don't have the right nutrients to grow in that environment become part of the ground. And that leaf litter becomes the compost that nourishes those plants that are thriving. And I want you to think of your life this way too. Sometimes we need to drop a branch. There are branches of my business that I've allowed to drop to the ground, not because I didn't love them, but because I just couldn't give them the time, energy, and effort to feel great about it. When I do things, I want to do them really well. And so that means that I can't have 16 top priorities, and neither can anyone. So sometimes we need to let branches go. Sometimes, like what happened for my apple tree, we don't actually get a choice. Someone just drops that branch for us. Maybe a partner has left. Maybe you've been retrenched from a job. Sometimes things happen that fall from our lives through no choice of our own. And it's really about celebrating what we can, learning from what we can, and letting that be kind of life litter that nourishes the parts of your life that can thrive. So kind of cycling a little bit back to what I said at the beginning, accepting that where you are right now, you do have ingredients to start making changes. You do. It might not be all the ingredients you wish you had, but part of what you craft for next year can be getting more of those ingredients or making more of that time. So we want to celebrate and let go. Really forgive yourself for any screw ups. Do you know what I mean? Just let them go. Let them be life litter. No one wins when we look backwards at what we feel we failed at and just stay there. No one's winning. If we failed another person, it doesn't actually help them. If we failed ourselves, it's not helping us. I'm not saying you get to behave in a shoddy way and then just trot along and don't have any feelings about it. I'm just encouraging you to just digest those feelings and compost them. And if we've stuffed something up, then what can you learn from it? And let's focus on now and open the door to a new future where we create new possibilities. Now, part 3, zooming through our workbook. Part 3 is about choosing your theme for 2019. You've got some healthy leaf litter. You're going to inspire yourself with juice. You know what you value, and you've started the what I want less of, what I want more of. So I want you to think about your theme for the year, what you want 2019 to be about for you. And this can set the tone for your entire year. So usually it's a word or a phrase. For me, 2018, my theme was embody my value, which to me was about all the stuff that I teach, really listening to the wisdom going on moment by moment in here, and anything that felt like a compromise to me and my being and my own value, actioning that. So it meant losing some branches of my life tree and letting some things go that just didn't feel nourishing or good. It meant if something happened and I felt awkward or uncomfortable about it, it meant that I just went, you know what, this is about embodying my value. And I had some difficult conversations with people. And thankfully I know, I've got some skills around doing that. So it's just about, I made my own value important enough that I didn't let slide things I previously would have let slide. And that's actually a wonderful gift to give in your relationships if you know how to own your stuff. So it's not a projection, but still talk about how you feel. So that's just giving you an example. And that theme really supported me in I've made amazing, really profound changes in my business and in lots of my connections, the way that I do money and pay myself, and how I've treated my body in terms of, the decisions that I've made. So it's been really through every area of my life that's been really useful. My theme for 2019 is transformational abundance. And this around, when I say the word abundance, for me, that's about an abundance of time, an abundance of freedom to make decisions based on my desires rather than restrictions. It involves, it's that amazing feeling of there's more than enough, and to take those changes that I've started from the Embody My Value year and really open up to them. And there's also some overseas travel I've got planned and some really fun sharing I've got planned for my next book that's getting edited at the moment, The Happiness Recipe, and doing some book tour stuff with that. So when I see transformational abundance, the word transformation means I'm doing things differently, and the word abundance to me means, and I'm doing it in a way that feels free and easy and juicy and nice. So what do you want your theme to be for 2019? And those of you that are on live, share it with me. It's fun. It's fun to share. Let me have a sip of water. When you think of what you want your year to be, I just saw Belle, your little boy is feeling better. That's good. It's really tough when your kids are sick. And it becomes, I know for me, in terms of talking about values from before. Once my kids were sick, all the other values went out the door, and that's where I needed to be front and center when they were too young to be part of their own healing. So yeah, it's a big rearrange, but they don't stay little forever. So yeah, what do you want your word or phrase to be for 2019, and claim it? What does that mean for you in your body, in your mind, in your energy, and what's it going to mean for you in terms of your actions? So share, let me know, even if you're watching it later. Now, a fun thing to do is, what's your theme going to be for the rest of 2018? Like, we still have time to start affecting some changes. We've got 2.5 weeks until the end of this year. So what do you want the rest of this year to be about? And really think of what you want it to be about in terms of what honors beautiful you. Because you're allowed to be you, remember, and where you are is perfect. And we're building your resources to make where you are the right place to open the door to where you want to be. So let's head into what I've called mining for your true goals. So this is really about not setting goals based on needing to be different, and not setting goals that are boring to you, and not setting goals that everyone else sets but that aren't actually in alignment with what you truly value. Because I guarantee you, if you do that, you won't actually take any of the action. It'll become those resolutions that we make in a moment and we don't take the action on. In order to have a goal that you take action on, it's got to come from the deep, honest, authentic truth of who you are. And then external motivation is not necessary. When we're inspired about something, we take the action. I don't need inspiration to ring my friend that's fun to talk to, but I definitely would need some external motivation to have a relationship I didn't want to be having, to just give a broad example. So as we start feeling into 2019, let's have a feeling to it under some broad headings. So they're all interlinked, but sometimes it can be really, really useful to separate them out before we continue to setting any goals. So here's the actions. I want you to think about your year next year and think, well, what do I want for my mind? What do I want for my body? What do I want for my energy? Now, this is going to mean different things to different people. To me, energy means your energy levels. So whether you wake up in the morning feeling like, oh, who doubled the gravity, life's hard, that place that I call the blurk, or whether you wake up in the morning feeling, energized and energy for life, and you're like, yeah, get me at it. I've just had a period of time like this writing my book, The Happiness Recipe. I was so inspired to wake up super early and do that in the mornings. It felt amazing because it was so values aligned, and I'm so looking forward to having this book in my hand and sharing it. So in the workbook, it's set up like this. So everything's backwards when you work on a screen like this. So mind, body, energy, and actions. So what do I want 2019 to be like inside the privacy of my own mind, inside this amazing miracle of physiological engineering that is your body? What do I want for my energy? And what do I want for my actions? What actions do I want to be doing? What do I want to be seeing? Yeah, what do I want to do? So it's kind of a separate way of saying, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? And what do I want to have? It's just a different way of looking at it like that. Can you see the value of separating those out? Because you can start to see inconsistencies. Sometimes what we want for our mind or for our body is not going to lead to having positive energy. So it's just about separating them out to start to see alignment and to start to see inconsistencies. Because when you set a goal and your mind, body, heart, soul is aligned with your actions, that is the bomb. It's just awesome. And if most of your life can be set up that way, then you're going to be having an amazing year. This is why I do this process every year, to really get clear. So we want to take some time now. I feel like I'm whizzing along, and I'm so used to teaching workshops in person where, you know, we would be together for the whole day and we'd be actually taking the time to stop and do this. But I'm aware that you can take time in amongst everything else that you're doing and pause and do the work. So I'm just honouring that this is a bit of a whiz through, and, you know, just take your time later on to really drop in and share in the group. I want to hear about all the stuff that you're learning. We're going to move on now to setting your goals. So for those of you who've got my CD, this one, and CD is a bit of an old term now. You might have bought it on iTunes or Google Play or streamed it on Spotify or something like that. But the last track of that CD has a song called Expanded Limitless. And it's really about, you know, we're expanded and we're limitless, and do you know what I mean? We've all got the same ingredients of being able to set a goal and take action, and that makes life amazing. And one of the lines in that affirmation song is, I can't achieve my goals without setting some. And obviously this is quite self-explanatory, but it's amazing how many people live by default. Sorry, I'm having toe discomfort. For those of you that joined late, I have a broken toe and I've got it set up strangely underneath the desk with pillows. So many people live by default. And in their secret, you know, deep heart of hearts, they wish something different was happening, but they're not actually doing anything different by consistently practicing a different state of mind, a different state, like those 4 areas that we talked about just before. They're not really doing anything consistently daily different with their mind, with their body, cultivating their energy and taking different actions. So we know if we pretty much do what we've always done, we're going to get similar things to what we've always got. So setting goals for the year is such an awesome thing to do. Don't rush it. Take your time. Make sure they're in alignment with your values, and make sure they are, I was going to say safe, but that feels a bit melodramatic. Make sure they take into account your whole life. If you have got 4 children under 5, then you're not going to be running a marathon, working 80 hours in a business and achieving this, this, and this, writing your memoirs and looking after your aging parents 4 days a week. Like, it's not, there's just no chance unless you've got some sort of cloning machine. So we need to make sure that we're setting goals that take into account who we truly are and what we value and what is possible. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you just to sit with yourself and think, okay, what are my top goals for 2019? What are the big things that I want to be sitting with myself on the 31st of December 2019 and just going, yes, yes, I did it. Now, sometimes when we set a goal, and this is something that you may need to do, you may need to get some support with. I do a lot of this with my clients. Sometimes we need to set a goal that is a long-term goal. And in the short term, it means less of doing something or the other that you do really value, but that you just don't have time for this big goal. So as an example, when I wrote my first book, I didn't do any gardening. At the time, I didn't have a whole lot of money to hire a gardener like I have now. So the garden just looked like it was rented out to potheads that didn't care about the garden. And I was like, you know what, that just has to be okay. I did less of things that took time to create time and space to do this goal that I don't do every year. So that's just one example. I'm not saying that everyone that chooses to use marijuana doesn't care about their garden. I'm just being general. So sometimes we need to give up certain parts of our life in order to create time, space for other things. So if one of the big goals is some retraining or some education or something that's going